Please go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do in the world in the chat. We'd love to hear from you guys. And I may just be stopping for moments just to let more people in. And we are recording this. So no worries if you have to jump out or if you came in late, you're going to get the recording for it. So congrats for being here. Whoops, we're going to go back one. So there's a lot of people from LinkedIn that I met on LinkedIn from here. There's a lot of people from Facebook and from email. So thank you from wherever you came from in the funnel. I appreciate you spending this time. And it's really interesting to have all these different platforms and people coming in to learn about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a very powerful platform. If you're just getting started on the platform, you may not know exactly how to navigate it and how easily you can actually start to get to know people on it. So I have a lot of people ask me why LinkedIn for a platform. And as a digital marketer, I will say, guys, that I like to be on multiple platforms. I really believe that our message gets to get out there on all the platforms that we can handle and handle well. And there's a lot of reasoning behind this. Part of it is that there's a lot of noise in the online space, and even if our ideal client doesn't see us on one platform, they have a better chance of seeing us on another platform. And by platforms, it's social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. TikTok's a really hot platform right now, and also like your email marketing is a platform. So any emails that you send out to nurture your people is another great way of getting out there. So why LinkedIn though? What is it about LinkedIn that has everybody talking? And with LinkedIn, it's a cool platform. It's turned into the professional Facebook platform where content really is king and hype is not. So one of the things that's really interesting about LinkedIn is that it is turning into a content platform where it's driving a lot of traffic, especially content. So it's perfect for anyone who's creating content in their business who has videos or blogs or articles or even just posts that they want to get seen. And they have established hashtags and everything. So it's a really cool platform for that. And I don't know if you guys have heard these numbers, but these are 2020 numbers. So it could have even gone up over the last couple months. So 675 million monthly users, which these are considered active users, guys. So 675 million users are monthly active users on LinkedIn alone, which is a massive number. I know it's not as big as Facebook. Facebook is, it's got to be up to the billions, but this is over half a billion or this is half a billion over that. And then 40% of those users, those monthly users, are on LinkedIn daily. So not only is it a platform for professionals and for people to consistently be on, but 40% of those people are on LinkedIn daily. So it's a social platform. It's popular. It's also considered the number one content distribution platform among business to business marketers. So content creation, it's massive for that, and distribution of content. And out of all the platforms, and this includes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, all of those online platforms, out of the 90% of online platforms that do drive traffic to blogs and websites, so any platform that's pushing people who come on the platform to a website or to a blog post, LinkedIn makes up 50% of that sharing. So if you are sharing a website outside of a platform, outside of Facebook, outside of Pinterest, outside of LinkedIn, outside of Twitter, then 50% of that sharing that is happening from LinkedIn. So content is king on LinkedIn. They have really established LinkedIn as the content distribution machine. So that's why LinkedIn is really cool. So just a little bit of housekeeping, you guys. Give yourself at least an hour. I'll try not to talk too fast, but I also want to be mindful of the time, and try to get you guys out of here at 7. I do like to keep it simple and implementable. So if you guys can get rid of any distractions, please be kind and courteous on the chat. I really appreciate that, being respectful. If you guys want to, if you see someone you know on the chat, then by all means go ahead and private chat with them. I will try and open up Q&A at the end if we have time. So if you guys have questions, I really appreciate you just waiting to the end and asking me. I'll do my best to get a hold of the comments before we close out here, so I can answer those for you or answer those to the best of my ability. So we're here to set you up with success. So that's the point of this. This is a training so that you guys can grab a pen and paper and implement immediately. So I don't like just talking at you. I really like giving you some things that you can do today. So you also will get out of these trainings whatever you put in. So the success of this training depends on what you do during the training and what you do after the training. So take some of these tips and really take some time to implement them. There's going to be some really good ones for you to implement. And here's my big promise to you. In the next several minutes, you'll learn the process we use for clients to build a campaign that gets massive results. And one of the biggest case studies we've had is 100 sales calls in 3 days. And I actually talked to this client earlier today, and she's at 170 sales calls from this one campaign over a 2-week period. So what I like to say about this is that whenever we solve a problem, we also create a new one. And the new one for her is I don't have enough manpower or enough time to take 170 sales calls. So good problem to have, but one solution, which is I need more sales calls, will always create another problem, which is how am I going to take all these sales calls? Good problem to have again. And hopefully you guys can take this and run with it and have the same problem. So if it sounds good to you guys, we will get going. Are you guys in? Give me some I'm in, give me some thumb. Actually, I don't think you can give me thumbs up in the chat, but you know what I mean. So go ahead and give me an I'm in. It sounds good. Let's get moving. And who? Who am I? Who am I? If you guys haven't gotten to meet me yet, I will say my hair is no longer blonde and purple. Thank you, COVID. I went back to my original hair color. But I am Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark. I'm a digital disruptor. My colleagues have lovingly named me a digital disruptor for several years, and I feel like I actually can fill those shoes these days. It's one of the funnest things I get to do is I really do feel like normal's the new insanity, especially when it comes to online marketing. I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do things, and what everyone else is doing is not necessarily the way that an individual has to run their business and how they have to put themselves out there on digital, on online marketing. So we disrupt the norm with the digital space, and it's a lot of fun. It's very creative. So I'm also a serial entrepreneur, multiple 7-figure businesses. I've helped people get to multiple 7-figure businesses. I'm over 11 years in digital marketing, I think almost 12. And where I started was not necessarily digital marketing. My original start was copywriting. So I started as a copywriter in the online space for online businesses. And before that, I was actually in environmental science. So I worked in environmental consulting as a scientist. My degree is in science. So everything that I do in a digital perspective is science based. So I use the scientific methodology. For much of what I do, I'm very methodical. And I do this for a couple different reasons. It's because everything that we do online, everything we do in the marketing is a science experiment. So we're not just going to do one thing and then done. We're going to do multiple things. We're going to try out different things, and we're going to let ourselves off the hook if it doesn't go right the first time because hey, it's an experiment. It's an experiment. So falling in love with the process and getting to the outcome however it may come about is really what I'm all about. It's what I teach. And it also is a is it's a fun way. It's a long term idea when it comes to building your business. So I'm a multiple international best-selling author. I'm also a speaker. I host a platform. I host live events when we are allowed to do them again, which is Entrepreneur City Live. And I also am the CEO of Influence Builder. And I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs build their online businesses from the ground up. This is my playground. The online space is where I play the best. It's where I love to play. So that is why there's always a solution. There's always a new little science experiment when it comes to creating funnels and creating digital marketing that works for you. So that is how I play. So With that in mind, I've done a lot of things right. We've been very successful. These businesses and companies have grown beautifully. So we've done a lot of things right. We've worked with bigger names. We've learned how to launch programs. We've learned how to create customer-centric funnels that really support business owners in scaling. A lot of good things. I will say I've done a lot of things wrong, more dead ends than there have been getting on the right path. So, and it's been fantastic. So a lot of people like, really? It's kind of failing. I'm like, what's failing forward? So in order to get on the right path, you have to go down a lot of dead ends. It's the idea that we're never going to get it exactly right the first time, but that's why we test and tweak and we keep moving forward. So in order for me to do a lot of things right, I've had to do a lot of things and even more things wrong. So that's kind of what I like to tell everyone is like, it's really easy to get caught up in all the dead ends and all of the failures, but if you're always failing forward and if you're always falling in love with the process over and over again, and you're going to eventually get to the outcome and you're committed to figuring it out and to improving and to pivoting, then there's no failing at all. You're successful regardless of how long it takes you to get to where you want to go. So I like to keep that in mind. And one of the good things for you guys is I discovered all these hard ways so that you guys get to cheat a little bit and take a shortcut. So that's kind of the good news, is that all the dead ends that I took, all the wrong ways I went, all the funnels that didn't work, all the product launches that didn't go, I learned a lot every time. And I found shortcuts. I wish I would have had them when I was going through it, but really, who's better to figure it out than a scientist and take that process? And now you guys are going to get the fast track way. So, and of course, that comes with social media. And you guys may be wondering, what's the common denominator with all the bad paths, all the dead ends when it comes to social media? And guys, we're going to be specific with LinkedIn here. So, what is the common denominator? Poor systems and content. So, out of all the funnels we've created in LinkedIn, out of all the things that we've tried on LinkedIn, I would say poor systems or the lack of systems and content that wows is the common denominator for all the dead ends. So, we've tested a lot of cool stuff out. We've tested from doing hey, let's jump on a call on a first message to waiting 3 or 4 times down there to see what works. And again and again and again, it all comes down to the systems that we have in place and the content and how we're creating that journey. So, and a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people don't know how to engage ideal clients on social media in a meaningful and impactful way. It's much different to connect with somebody online than it is in person. Sometimes it's easy for people, sometimes it's challenging. But there's a commonality that most people really struggle with how to engage their ideal clients on social media in a real meaningful and impactful way. So, and sometimes we forget that it's not just about the branding, the fancy website. It's actually about the experience you create for your prospects. So when you think about why your prospects buy from you, and there's this saying, and I agree with this saying, is that people will not forget. They will forget how you look, how your voice sounds, what you said, but they won't forget how they felt around you. And the same thing is true for the online space and for social media, is that the experience that you create, how they feel when they experience you as the business owner, your brand, will keep them coming back or will repel them. So sometimes we just forget that that is an essential part of customer journey. And instead, we miss the mark. So when we don't focus on the customers, when we don't focus on the journey that and the experience that we're creating for them, then we miss the mark. And we can come off as too aggressive, and sometimes we come off as too passive. And what happens when they do that? When our ideal clients get a taste of it and we come off as passive or too aggressive, they think blah 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 blah. And I've had experiences where and it's an experiment where I've tried several different things, And it's almost like you can hear them saying, "Oh my gosh, here we go again. I really don't like this experience. I don't want to talk to this lady." I usually think of it as Charlie Brown. You know, with Charlie Brown, when any of the adults or the teachers are talking, it's like the wah 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 wah. So you don't really want to be that. You don't want to have to be that person on LinkedIn, or that's how you're coming across, is just somebody else talking that they're not listening to. You really want to make an impact. So here are the 3 secrets to an amazing LinkedIn marketing campaign. My top 3. Number 1 is a killer profile with a standout title and intro. Yeah, we're going to talk about this, and this is a good one to get a pen and paper on, guys, because I'm gonna show you a couple of case studies and kind of what we're doing with that. And then number 2 is a clear understanding of who your ideal client is, and I'll dig into that. Some of you guys may think I already know who they are, and you absolutely may. And then we just have to make sure that we are bringing that over into LinkedIn and how to find them. So, and the third thing is a system and content that wows and keeps the customer journey front of mind. So we'll talk about that with the case study, the case study that this is what we're really focusing on, and I'll talk to you guys about that at the near the end. So the profile, your profile on LinkedIn. Here's where most people fail. They have a plain title. They don't identify their ideal client in the first sentence of the profile. They use I help instead of so and so hires me, and they don't differentiate themselves with the solution they provide. So these are common things that I'm seeing online on LinkedIn specifically, is that the title's plain. So we can have somebody's name, and then we can have coach, speaker, author, and that's it. It doesn't say what kind of coach, doesn't say international best-selling author. It just says author, or it could just say speaker, or it could even just be as plain as motivational speaker. And really, that's not telling people who you are and who you serve and the solutions you provide. So when I say this is that, and you also have to identify your ideal client in your profile. So I've got some really good examples, because you may be scratching your head like, how does this go together? How does this go together? So here's Miss Natalie. She's one of my amazing clients and a sweetheart. Just love Miss Natalie. And she is a signature program and online course consultant. So she's not a coach, she's a consultant. And what she helps people do is she helps them create a signature program. So her title is different. She's just not another consultant or online course consultant. She's a signature program and online course consultant. So she's already differentiated herself from all the other consultants out there in the online space. And then she really digs into who it is that she serves. And she serves speakers, coaches, and health professionals. Those are who she serves, and they hire her to turn their expertise into additional streams of income. So she tells you exactly the solution that she provides. She tells you who she works for, and she has a really, really unique title here. And I just want to emphasize putting this hire me instead of help, because we're here. We need to run a business. We need to make money in order to run a business. It's just how it works. The more that we can make, the more that we can serve others. I really believe in that. So we don't want to just say help, because then it actually sounds different. It doesn't, if you say it out loud too. And sometimes when I'm writing my content or I'm writing titles, I'll say it out loud, and I'll feel into what sounds stronger. So if I say, I'm Natalie Laiblock, and I help speakers, coaches, health professionals to turn their expertise into income, that sounds different than if I say speakers, coaches, health professionals hire me to turn their expertise into additional streams of income. There's more power behind the hire, and it's more professional, and people are willing to buy your expertise from you, which is, in her case, helping them turn their expertise into income. So that's a really good example of how to shift your title on LinkedIn. And I want to just point this out, guys, because, and this is for any profile on social media. It's very similar to your website. So when somebody enters your website, whether that's a cold prospect, warm prospect, hot prospect, you still have 5 seconds to impress them. So within 5 seconds, they're either going to say, I'm going to continue looking on, or I'm going to click out. And there's a lot of stats on that. It keeps dropping. It used to be 7 seconds, but as the years go on, we seem to be losing seconds here. Hopefully, it'll always have a few seconds on it. I can't imagine it dropping anymore. But the same can be said for your LinkedIn profile, is that you have 5 seconds to impress. And really, people are skimming. They're skimming these pages. They're looking at the top. They're looking at these pictures. They're looking at the title, and they're looking at who you help. So you want to impress. And they'll either self-select in, wow, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a health professional, and I really do want additional streams of income. Or they'll select out and just like, you know what? I don't think that this gal can help me. I'm not any of those people. And they'll select out. So that's one of the things I like to remind people of, is that you really want to make it easy for them to select in or select out, and you have 5 seconds. It's just like a website. So there's a couple of other things that make a really great profile. You see, this is Miss Cheryl. She's got a fantastic profile too, where she's a financial educator. The thing that I really like about her is her photo, her logo up here. So the next evolution of wealth creation. Ooh, love that. That right there is a wow factor. Her title's great, financial educator. That's different. We usually see financial advisor, and she's not. And then a speaker and CEO. But here's where she really takes it home: is the business owners hire me to teach and implement tax-free financial strategies to increase their bottom line. So she's telling you who it is, business owners, what she does for them. They hire her to teach and implement tax-free financial strategies. And that's what she does. And the solution is that it increases their bottom line. So very simple. It's very simple and straightforward, but it does have a wow factor in it. So another great profile is starting strong from the very top. And then the next thing I like to tell people is like, does the rest of your profile match what you're saying in your title? So if you scroll down to skills and endorsements, you'll see a lot of different ones. You'll see that I mean, sometimes it's even random, as you got endorsed as being an author. I have a lot of endorsements for environmental science and environmental consulting, which doesn't really go necessarily with my title of digital disruptor. So you can change those. You can feature skills and endorsements, and it's a simple editing. You hit the edit button and you can actually bring them up and take some down that are not in alignment with what you're trying to show people that you do at the top. So I highly recommend not only the top of your profile, but also making sure the rest of your profile matches what your title is saying. And the skills and endorsements is a really great one to dig into. It's really easy to change. If you guys haven't yet, I highly recommend you choosing your top 3 that go with the new title that you put up. And that's a strong profile. So that's something where they'll self-select in and they'll continue on, and it'll all match. It'll all make sense. So I hope that helps. That's something that you guys can implement immediately, and it will make a big difference. The other thing with the title here is that it's a conversation breaker. So I can't tell you how many people have said, wow, I really like digital disruptor. I'm curious, what is it that you do, Danielle? And so it starts a conversation. And I'll get into that a little bit more about how to take those conversations too. So your ideal clients. This is kind of where we're transitioning from the profile to the ideal client, so we can dig into this a little bit more. But most entrepreneurs only know the surface layer rather than the details. So they know who their ideal client is, but they don't know the details. And for LinkedIn, it's really great to understand the industry that they're in, their education, where they look for solutions. So you really want to understand where they're looking for solutions, down to the hashtags, like what hashtags do they search for? So for example, the case study that I'll be talking to you guys about, one of the hashtags that her ideal clients use is hashtag speaking opportunities. So that's a hashtag that people use. So it's a really great way for her to discover where her clients are looking for solutions. So that's something that we used when we were discovering who her ideal clients were on LinkedIn. You also want to know the geography. Where are they located? Are they located in the United States? Are they located in a specific state, or are they located in specific cities? Maybe they're not located in the United States. Maybe they're in the UK. Maybe you serve Australians as well, and you're in the UK and Australia. So you want to get specific with the geography and start small. Start small with the geography. If you can't decide, then start with a city, start with an area, and then expand from there once you get good at finding ideal clients within that geography, that geographic placement. So you also want to understand their other social media assets. So one of the things that I like to do is when I'm prospecting, when I'm looking for ideal clients, and I can't quite hit the titles very well on LinkedIn, I'll find a couple and then I'll move on to Facebook. So I can actually go onto a Facebook business page and very, very quickly tell where somebody is at in their business and in their lead generation just by taking a quick peek at their business page. I may even go on their timeline and I can take another quick peek. So I really utilize the other social media assets in order for me to have a good idea of exactly who these ideal clients are. What is it that they're using on their LinkedIn profile? Where are the gaps? So they may have built out their Facebook beautifully and they have their amazing title on Facebook, but not on LinkedIn. So to me, it's like, that's an ideal client. They just haven't taken the time to really build out LinkedIn, and they're missing the boat because this could be really handy for them. So any other gaps? What are some of the other gaps that are really apparent to you as you're looking at ideal clients that your ideal client may not know? So it could be that the gaps are is that they're on LinkedIn, but they're not involved in groups. So you may need to reach out to them individually. It may be that they're in certain groups, but the groups really aren't supporting them in finding ideal clients. So there's just a lot that you guys can dig into more with your ideal clients that goes way past just the surface layer stuff, like male, female, within this age range, demographics, that kind of stuff. We can go a little bit deeper. And then one of the really important ones is, where are they looking for their solutions? And specifically for LinkedIn, where are they looking on LinkedIn for solutions? What are they doing? What are they searching? What are they reading for content on LinkedIn? So looks like I went back. So here's what you need to know. Your ideal clients on LinkedIn are on the platform looking for solutions. And some of these solutions are they're finding a job, they're looking for a job, they're looking for clients, they're looking to build their expertise with content, they're there to network, educating and being educated. So another great piece of the content. They could be looking for PR opportunities. LinkedIn is fantastic for PR opportunities. Or they could be looking to hire. They could be looking to hire someone for their team there. So this is just a handful of reasons why people are on LinkedIn, and this is why they're coming on looking for solutions. But understanding that piece of it will really help you guys in digging into who your ideal clients are. And it's essential that you know who your ideal clients are before you start the funnels with LinkedIn. So what is it that they're looking for in terms of solutions? And then what kind of solutions can you provide them that they could be potentially looking for? So it's kind of that next step for it. Okay, so now that I talked about the profile, now that I talked about the ideal client and kind of how to think about this, let's dig into the next piece. And the next piece is the case study, right? So 100 sales calls in 3 days. This is what you guys came here for. And I just want to be really clear and authentic with you guys. These results are atypical, which means that there's a lot of good things that were happening already to make this just go boom for our client. And while all of this is true in the case study, this happened, for some of you, it could be a matter of comparing apples to oranges, and results may vary. So I'm giving you really good information here. I want you to run with as much as you can. And just don't beat up on yourself if you don't get 100 sales calls in 3 days. So there's a lot of things that went right with this particular case study. And yes, you're going to get results if you implement some of these, but just know that this is atypical. This is a really great case study. This is a fantastic outcome, and a very fast outcome. So I want to be real with you guys and just let you know that. And in some cases, this could be comparing apples to oranges. So with that, we're going to keep going. And here's what we were working with this client. She was a PR. She's a PR expert. She already has over 5,000 in LinkedIn connections. She also has an email list, which we didn't tap. We did not tap her email list. We focused specifically on LinkedIn. And she's done a lot of in-person networking and speaking. So she's an in-person networker and a speaker. So a lot of her people knew her from networking and speaking. Not all of them, just some of them. So, and she already had some funnels and lead magnets in place. So she had a lot to work with before we started this particular strategy. And so these are what the challenges are. So we're giving you the great things that we had to work with, and here's what happened behind the scenes. So COVID-19 completely sidetracked her marketing plan for 2020. Completely sidetracked it. She was going in an in-person direction with her products. Her products were made for people who wanted to speak on stages. That was her product before COVID hit. So like a lot of us, when COVID hit, it totally required us to pivot. I had a live event in April scheduled. We were sold out in tickets. We were completely sold out in the Atlanta area, and COVID hit. We had to postpone it. And what we did was we pivoted and we postponed it. We're pushing it off, but we also did a live stream event, and so we completely had to redo a lot of stuff. And we did a live stream event, and it went amazing. And I know that this is happening with a lot of people where they've had to pivot a little bit, and this happened to this client. So she had a large following on LinkedIn, but she wasn't converting them. She didn't know how to convert them. She also didn't want to do small talk. So that was the other thing. Danielle, I don't want to do small talk. I don't want to do it online. That's not my thing. And I was like, okay, we can work with that. There's a strategy. There's a strategy for everything. Was my reply to that. And she also had a great product specific that could be specifically geared towards the online space. But people on social media, they didn't know about it right now, or she had kind of pushed it off a little bit because she was focusing on the other one. But COVID hit, and now we had to bring this one back that could really be utilized in the online space. And she really needed help on showcasing how good the product is. And it's a fantastic product. So here's what we did. Before we just ran in and started testing, we came up with a plan. So the first thing we did was we dug in deep to her ideal client. We really started to understand, like, who are these people? And they're speakers and authors and coaches, and a lot of them, and they're conscious coaches. They're not necessarily in transformation, but a lot of them are in transformation. So we really understood who they were and what was coming up for them. And it wasn't even what was coming up for them, it was what was coming up for them now. What were their challenges now during COVID? So we really dug into that piece of it. And we checked that those on LinkedIn were in fact her ideal clients. So she had 5,000 in following there. We double checked. Are these all ideal? Well, yes, they are. Fantastic. All of these guys that she had currently on her LinkedIn were ideal clients. So the next step is that we mind mapped. So we wrote down. I like to draw pictures. This is a little different for me just to do PowerPoints, guys. Usually I draw really bad pictures and show you a mind map. I'm doing you guys a service by having a PowerPoint up here and not having to look at my terrible drawings. But we mind mapped. We actually drew out what her ideal clients' biggest pain points were right then, and what we needed to do. So we mind mapped the biggest pain points, and then based on that, we created a strategy that really dug into the customer journey with her ideal clients, and not just the customer journey, but the ones that they most needed. So with her clients, they really needed PR. They really needed to come in the online space, and have the wow factor. They're already experts. They may not have necessarily been online, but they needed to come online and they needed PR. So That was a big part of the customer journey. So what we did next was we created the wow factor in the content and beefed up the lead magnets and sales pages that she already had. So she had fantastic lead magnets, she had sales pages. We had to change some of them. We had to change some of them. We had to beef them up so that they made sense for her customer journey, and we also had to create the wow factor. So the other thing we did was we tweaked her packages. We tweaked her packages to support what her customers needed. So when we first started, she had two programs that people could sign on for. We created a third one. So this is kind of the science piece in me that I like to talk about marketing ecosystems and how to create programs based on where your clients are at and not necessarily where you want them to be. So we created packages based on, okay, so we're in COVID, people aren't spending as much money. It's true. Your ideal clients are not spending as much money. Some are still busy as ever. So we have three different price packages that will help them and support them with the outcomes that they want. So we created the wow factor in the content, beefed up the lead magnets so that they made sense and they were the logical next step for a conversation. And then we tweaked her packages to support her clients where they were at. So if you guys are thinking, okay, what is it that I need to do in order to get 100 sales calls, you may need to start from the beginning. You may need to dig into your ideal clients and where they're at right now, not where they were at several months ago, where they're at right now. How have their pain points changed? What are their challenges now that they didn't necessarily have a few months ago, but they have right now? And how can you support them in that? And what do you need to tweak in order to support them? So that's where we started. We mapped this all out, and it didn't take a long time, but it took a couple days. I'd say probably a week to get it together. So if you guys are wondering, how do I start this? Here's an exercise for you. So before you start, know this. Know your ideal clients and markers that indicate them. So by markers, I mean, what are some of the things that they come to LinkedIn looking for a solution for? So an example would be from this case study. Her people were looking for PR opportunities. They were looking for hashtag speaking opportunities. It was just something that they were doing. They were reading articles on how to get on more podcasts. They were reading articles on how to be more visible. They were reading articles on how to be better at online marketing. So a lot of authors who normally, were in bookstores giving out their books now had to bring it online. So those are some clear markers that were good indicators for who her ideal clients were and what they were looking for. So you also want to know how to search. So before you start, know this or write it down. How do you search and group them on LinkedIn? So I will say for organic marketing, Sales Navigator is great on LinkedIn. It's a fantastic way to segment your current connections and also any people you want to connect with. So there's a tagging system within Sales Navigator that I love, where you can actually tag. You could even make it as simple as cold. You could go through your current connections and say cold prospect, warm prospect, hot lead, and just write them out like that. So cold prospect is just anyone who may know of you and just connected, but they don't know you. That would be a cold prospect. You could tag them for that. You could tag a warm prospect and somebody who has had some kind of a conversation or like to post. That could be a warm prospect. A hot lead is somebody you've gone back and forth with, that they like your stuff. They're not just following you on LinkedIn, they're following you on several platforms or on your email list. That's a hot lead right there. So you could tag them as that. So Sales Navigator is a great way to search and also group your people on LinkedIn. And then you can customize from there. So you also want to understand what their biggest pain points are. So I talked about this a lot because we really do focus on the customer journey here, guys, and that experience. And part of that experience is they're challenged right now. They're in pain. So we want to know their biggest pain points, but we also want to know their underlying pain points and what they need next. So a fantastic example of what an underlying pain point is I have another client, and she works with corporate she works with corporate professionals who need to speak. Part of their job is that they need to speak in front of other colleagues and even employees, and they need to step into that role. And they have a fear of public speaking. So it's very niche. Maybe not so much if you guys have been in corporate and know what it takes to public speak, and it's required. It's required sometimes. So her people tend to be professionals and also scared of public speaking. Their biggest pain point is that they want to get better at public speaking. Underlying that, they could be shy. And one of the things that she did is that she really discovered that they were just scared of blushing. They were that scared of blushing on camera, and that's a big pain point now, especially when everything's online and on camera. But one of their biggest pain points was they were afraid of blushing or their face being red when they were public speaking. So she created a YouTube post that went massively viral. It went viral very quickly on YouTube on how not to blush when looking into it, when videotaping on a camera. I think there was a better title than that, but that's what it was. So that's an underlying pain point, and it's so simple. Yeah, it's so simple, and it's those simple pain points that people really want the answers to. So understand their biggest pain points and also what their underlying pain points are and what they need next from you. Maybe they need a YouTube video on how not to blush on camera or how not to blush when you're speaking in public. Maybe they need something else. So understanding that will really come in handy with what you create within your content. So you also want to know how your products and services and lead magnets can serve them best right now, where they are at and where they want to go. So kind of with that idea is that your products and services and lead magnets, how it can serve them best right now. You don't have to have these massive lead magnets or freebies or anything that is going to solve all their problems. But if you can solve their pain point and get them to the next step, you're going to be doing them a huge service, and it creates that wow factor. And really, people are looking to be wowed right now and impressed, and there's a lot of noise. So you've got to find a way. You don't necessarily have to be the loudest, but you've got to find a way to really give them exactly what it is that they're looking for, even if they're not actively seeking it. So also, it's essential to deliver these solutions in an authentic and in an organic way. So if you think about how am I going to deliver these solutions, what makes sense, what is it that they're looking for? So and sometimes we skip the simple stuff. We skip that, you know what, I've got a great solution and I don't necessarily have to message this to them, but I can create a fantastic LinkedIn article that is going to support them and give them the next step. It's going to give them a solution to the pain that they're in for the next step, so they can be one step closer into working with me. And it's that simple. It could be a simple post or video on LinkedIn, and it could be something that you've talked to them and they said they had an issue with in messaging. You create the LinkedIn article, you tag them in it. You say, hey, I know that you had said that you wanted more information on this. Here's a LinkedIn article on that. So there's a lot of ways to deliver these solutions to your ideal clients that isn't salesy, isn't greasy, is really authentic and organic. So just think about all the different ways that you can do that on LinkedIn. You also want to understand the psychology around funnels and social media. So there's a lot of psychology that goes into funnels and social media. It's all about the nurture. And I think that a lot of times we forget that we got to nurture these guys. So to get somebody from a cold prospect to a warm lead to a hot contact, it usually takes 5 to 7 back and forth conversations. And you'll hear it a lot from sales professionals where, and I can't remember exactly what the quote is, but it says something like most people give up right before they're about to achieve the success, especially in the sales conversation. They, instead of doing 7 calls or back and forth, they do 2 and they give up and they don't make the sale. The same thing can be said for how you're nurturing in your sales funnels. It's 5 to 7 conversations. It's 5 to 7 touch points. It doesn't necessarily have to be a back and forth conversation, but it could be that you talk to them 3 times on Messenger and then you wrote an article. They saw it, you tagged them in it. That's another part of the nurture. So it doesn't have to be difficult. It can be really simple. You also want to keep this in mind is that people will trust genuine interest. So, what's genuine interest look on a message? Well, I got this great message from someone, I think about a year ago on LinkedIn, and I really liked it, and I took note of it because he just emailed me. He's like, "Great to be connected. I really wish I would have connected with you 2 weeks ago because I was in Charlotte, and I'm in Charlotte, because I was there speaking at an event." That's all he said. He's like, I'd love to chat with you sometime. And I wrote him back. I'm like, huh, you saw that I'm in Charlotte. That's really cool. What were you doing here? I'm curious to know. And so we had a back and forth conversation on what he was doing in Charlotte, what he was needing in the future. And then we jumped on the phone and we found ways to support each other. So he needed some support with filling an event in Houston. I was able to support him with that. And then he had a connection to somebody and websites that I really wanted to get connected to. And so he facilitated that. So that's all it was. It was genuine interest, which was fantastic. So, and it was really simple. He just knew that I lived in Charlotte and he was in Charlotte. So that kind of goes into the next one is that always make it about them. So whenever you're talking on Messenger, always make it about them. And when you do make it about yourself, have it be relatable to the solution that they need. So this guy in particular, he knew I was in Charlotte. He knew I was in Charlotte. So when he did make it about him, he said, "I was just in Charlotte 2 weeks ago." And that's all it was. And it was really simple. It was really simple. And it also stood out. I was like, "Ooh, more people in Charlotte. I really want to talk to this guy." And I looked at his profile. I liked his profile. I liked what he was up to. And I was curious. So there's always another reason too, right? So you want to find other ways besides messaging to nurture and gain trust. So that kind of goes back to the other ideas on the other slide I gave you is that you don't need to just message these guys. You can create articles, you can create posts, you can tag them in it. You can go to their profile and see what they're commenting on or what posts that they've put up and comment on those posts with genuine interest and relatability. You can see what groups they're in and join those groups and put your posts within those LinkedIn groups that could support that person and continue the conversation with that person because they see that post in that group. So there's hundreds of ways to further nurture them beyond just messaging them. And it's often very subtle, yet it leads to fantastic outcomes. So think about all those different ways that you can message and nurture them to gain trust. So back to the case study, what was needed? What did we really need to get these funnels ready? Well, the first thing that we needed was we had to get the online calendar link so that when people were ready to schedule a call with her, they could. So if you guys don't have an online calendar yet, Acuity scheduling is great. Visita, that's my favorite one. Personally, I love Visita. And Calendly is a great option too. And I believe all of these, you can sign up for free for a certain amount of calls or signups. But most have a monthly amount you have to pay. If I'm right, I believe Calendly is the cheapest one. So what else is needed? A killer connect message and or re-engagement message to entice ideal clients to accept your request on LinkedIn. So one of the other things that we did for the funnel is that she already had contacts, so we actually ran a re-engagement campaign. So her re-engagement message was really strong and it enticed her ideal clients to accept a connection. Actually, they were already connected. It accepted a message from her and connect with her. So we created one. We tested out a couple different ones to re-engage these guys to get into the conversation. It worked really well. She's got 170 connections and sales calls right now. And also, here's the other thing that was needed: an email marketing system to funnel the leads to. So she already had an email marketing system. If you guys don't, yeah, Mailchimp. Start with Mailchimp if you don't have anything. Aweber's good. Get Response is good. I personally, I've been in the industry so long, I don't use email marketing anymore. I use CRM systems. So CRMs are customer relationship management systems. So Infusionsoft, I love Kartra specifically. That's the one I use. Some people like Jobby, Entrepreneur's another big one. There's a whole bunch out there right now, but they're more of an all-in-one solution. So if you're really going to be funneling over hundreds and thousands of people, you may want to look at a CRM instead. So an email marketing system is essential. And the reason is because this specific funnel was sending people over to a lead magnet and collecting information there and then further nurturing them via email. So you're going to need that. And you also want a marketing plan specifically geared to LinkedIn lead generation. So a marketing plan that is enticing people to be further nurtured. So I usually recommend a couple different things with a marketing plan. I recommend having content on hand that will facilitate the conversation with messaging. Also, we'll pull information or past blogs into LinkedIn to further nurture ideal clients, and then we'll tag them. Not necessarily the ones that we haven't talked to, but the ones that we have talked to, and we'll be very authentic. Hey, based on what we talked about, tagged you in this article, thought it would be useful. So for her, it was all about PR, speaking, getting more interviews. So she had tons of content on this, how to do it. So it was really simple for her to go ahead and tag, say, hey, I thought this would help. Here you go. So you want a marketing plan that is specifically geared to that. You may also want to put in your marketing that you need to join LinkedIn groups where your ideal clients are hanging out and looking for solutions and being part of that solution. So it just depends. This is a part where you get to kind of play and customize and add. You don't necessarily have to do all these things in your marketing plan. Start simple, start small, and build on that is usually what I recommend to everybody, is like build on it. Unless they're like complete go-getters and like I can handle it all and I've got a team to help me handle it, then we'll move a little faster. So here's what her marketing plan was. We did a segmentation of her ideal clients. So we went through her ideal clients, and hers was into the thousands. So she had thousands of ideal clients on her LinkedIn profile. You guys may go and segment your current connections on LinkedIn, and you may have hundreds. You may have 10. Doesn't matter. You just want to segment them out. You want to understand. Again, Sales Navigator is a great way to do this organically. You also want that killer connect message that entices them, and it supports those ideal clients to self-select. So a connection message. So if you are looking at this and you're like, I don't have enough traffic right now, I don't have enough connections, I want to connect more with my ideal clients on here, then your connect message has to entice them and support them in self-selecting it. So by that, they just raise their hand and you're very apparent. Like, and one of my really good ones that I use a connection message is, hey, I really love your profile. Would love to I'd love to bring in influencers such as yourself for my inner circle. And it's true. I want to. And yes, I work with influencers. I work with coaches, consultants, and service-based business owners that are influencers that are really about the service and the message to masses. So that's kind of what you want them to self-select. You want them to raise their hand when you connect to them, or not. Either raise their hand or no. They may say, no, this isn't me. So you also want that email marketing system to funnel leads to. So if you have a lead magnet, you want to collect their email and their information so you can further nurture them. And that's what we did with her. We had her email marketing set up so that she could funnel her leads over to freebies that were a logical next step. And then we also had 5 to 7 nurture messages after they signed up for an initial one. She had 3 freebies. So she had a lot of information that she gifted them and enticed them to jump on a call with her after delivering that. So she gave a lot. She gave first. She served first. She gained that trust. And then she gave them, if you want to take this to the next step, and their pain point was I need more. I need more PR. I don't know how to get these people to interview me. I don't even know how to reach out to them. Oh, well, then she had a calendar link for them to connect with her on a call. So you can see how this worked beautifully for her. Yeah. And that's really what it was, is that we set this up in a very strong marketing plan. So what this marketing plan did for her is that she had 300 comments on the first two messages, and the comments were the back and forth messages. So she had 300 of those, and that was in the first two messages. So she had two messages that went out to people, and in 3 days. She had a 36 per conversion rate on her freebie landing page. So when people went to sign up for her lead magnet, it was a good page, 36% converted. So in digital marketing, 25% is around average. It's really good for a conversion. 36 is really good, especially if we're talking about people who are re-engaging, so they're somewhat cold. 36 is really good. And then she got 100 sales calls within 3 days of this reach out methodology that we use in this funnel sequence. So now, again, we solved one of her pain points, which was that she needed more sales calls, and we created another problem, which is, she's booked out for several months, and she needs to bring in more team members to facilitate all these sales calls. So that's what this marketing plan did for her. It worked very quickly. It was very niche, so it was very specific to what their needs were. So that's what it did. So when it comes to your systems and your processes, guys, you want to ask yourself, do you have a process for searching for your ideal clients? Do you have something? Do you understand, like, who exactly they are, and what markers that you need in order to identify? And do you have ways for them to self-identify? So a great organic marketing one is Sales Navigator and LinkedIn. So you can use that right within the LinkedIn system. So it'll help you search, and it'll help you tag and segment based on some of your search criteria. You also want to have a system to support an influx of clients. So you guys, LinkedIn will work beautifully. You get your system in place, but then do you have the supporting system for an influx? Do you have an email marketing platform where you can collect their information and further nurture them? Do you have a way do you have a calendar link so they can jump on a phone? Do you have enough room in your calendar to even take all these different calls? So these are things to think about with your systems and processes. And there's no right or wrong system. It has to work for you. And I will almost guarantee you, I don't want to get, because there's always outliers, guys. There's always people who are the one hit wonders and who just make magic happen. There is. And but for the most part, you know, I I would say that you're not going to get your systems right the first time. You're not going to have your processes right the first time. You're going to need to tweak them. You're going to need to work with them. You're going to need to shift things. You're going to need to change your content. You're going to need to change your outreach methodology. So just keep it in mind. In most cases, you're not going to have it right on the money at the very beginning. It's something that you work with. And so that being said, do you have a marketing plan where you can implement LinkedIn as a traffic source? Is LinkedIn part of what you use in your marketing? Has it been part of your plan? I will say that you want to use as many platforms as you're good at. You want to, if you have one that you're still getting good at, and then the next one's LinkedIn, great. Make sure that you're really good at that first platform. Let's just say it's Facebook. Make sure you're really good at that first. Then move on to LinkedIn. Get really good at that and make it part of your marketing campaign. The more platforms that you can you can utilize and get going for you, the better. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about that. And I do have a fast track method. I'm just going to check comments here because I know that you guys um had some. Yeah, and I know, guys, I know that there's a lot of questions that come up, and um I was trying to say this for then. I'll try to answer some for you. And okay, so link to the recording. Yep, we're gonna send that to you guys. Specific for realtors. Yep, we do have some for different. I actually have a really great client who's a realtor, and we've done fantastic on LinkedIn. Um, the connection with the ideal clients in my page. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and answer these last three. And yes, the replay we'll be sending out. What do you use as freebies? So it depends. Like the freebies depend on the what the client is delivering for products and the solution they're providing. So the freebies that this particular client used were specific to people trying to get on more podcasts and radio shows. And she used how to be, she gave them a checklist on how to be a great guest. So, how to be a great podcast guest. Also, how to get on more podcasts. So, she had a step by step guide on that. And then she also had an ebook, which really dug into the difference between podcasts and radio shows and how this is how PR was going. So, she had an ebook. So, um, groups and lists can be created. Sales navigation, what is that? So, Sales Navigator is within LinkedIn. It is, you would have to, it's an upgrade. So you're going to want to go into LinkedIn and you're going to want to go into profile. It's an upgrade. So check and see Sales Navigator. I'd also highly recommend, if you can't find it in there, to Google it and see how to get into Sales Navigator. Sometimes they'll have a link right into it. And if you're already signed into LinkedIn, then it's no problem. It'll automatically take you into the Sales Navigator with your username and password. So please clarify, was she email through LinkedIn? All these people posting, do you need a paid account to email the masses? So a paid account will allow you to email more people. So you don't need a paid account. It helps. It helps to have a paid account because you can get in front of more people. So when it's a free account, they don't let you email as many people. There's some limitations there. So with a paid account, yes, you can email more people. So what she actually did was she used our system. So I'm telling you guys how to do this organically so that you don't have to necessarily use our system. She automated the in-between, which I'm really big on. I'm really big on automating the in-between and creating systems. So she actually used a system that we specifically have. And I'll tell you guys about that. And that is our limitless LinkedIn leads. It's our pilot program. We did our beta. Beta went fantastic. And I'll tell you guys a couple more people who have had fantastic results. But this is our pilot program. This is the next step after our beta. And this is where we use a system. It's a proprietary method. It's a proprietary method to really get these out and get your stuff to the masses. It is not, it's not using Sales Navigator either. So it's completely different. So what would you, if you guys would like a system that isn't available anywhere else that helps you search and connect with leads on autopilot, it's crafted content that converts cold prospects into hot leads, and a surefire system that supports you in turning leads into sales calls. So she used our system. And what I'm giving you guys is, like, without the system, you can still do this, and this is how you do it. So she fast tracked this. And we have other clients like Natalie, for example. She went from a few hundred leads. So not only is it really great, guys, to get the sales calls, but it's really important to get the connections. So there's a system in getting the connections. A lot of times what I'll see is that people, they won't fill their programs. They won't fill their events because they don't have enough traffic. That's one of the biggest limiters. And so Natalie went from just a few hundred connections to over 200 new connections per week. So she grew rapidly from 500 leads and connections on LinkedIn to 200 a week. Half of what she had, and that she built 500. It took her over a year to build that many. And then within 2 weeks, she doubled. She also got 2 to 5 additional calls per week with these ideal clients. And her problem is it's too many to handle, Danielle. So like I said, with every solution that we have, there's always a problem that gets created. And the problem that is coming up with our beta program people is like, there's too many people to talk to, Danielle. I don't know how I'm going to fit these all into my calendar. So, and there's a solution for that too, which is now she's building out, Natalie specifically is building out her team and her funnels to support the scaling. So if you guys want to scale rapidly, LinkedIn is a really fantastic way to do that. So take Erin. Utilizing LinkedIn lead generation to fill events. Her last event had 1,250 plus. Isn't that great? Also to fill her funnel, she grew the Facebook group 1,000%, 1,000% in 2.5 months, filled it. And then she filled three different programs in 3 months. Three programs in 3 months. This is the power of the system. Take Cheryl before LinkedIn, had no following on social media. Utilize the lead generation to grow and funnel over thousands of leads to all of her social media platforms and increase her business tenfold. 3 months. It doesn't have to be a long process, guys. So if you guys are ready for this program, I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to run through this really fast because we're not directing you to a sales page or anything. You guys actually, there's an application. So what I will do, guys, is I'm going to put the application in now before I talk about what we're doing right into the chat, just so you have it. You guys also, if you have more questions, and I can already see I'm way over time, my apologies, guys. If you guys have more questions, I am gonna gift you guys strategy calls. So if you haven't jumped on a strategy call with me yet, I am gonna go into the system a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna go into it a little bit more. So you guys can apply for the system. Also, if you want to dig in a little bit more, if you want to spend a few minutes with me, I will go ahead and gift you guys a strategy call. It's in the comments right now. So the program, it's limitless LinkedIn leads, and it's LinkedIn profile creation in that first week and recreation. So most people have LinkedIn that come into the program with me, and we beef up their profile. Their profile is the most important piece. Okay, so you really want to start there. You're so welcome, Regina. Thank you so much. We don't see it in the comments at the moment. Okay. I'll put it in at the end too, guys, so you can see it. Okay. And if you still don't see it in the comments, don't worry about it, because I'll put all these links in the replay email so you guys can have it right within the email too. So week 1, this is what we work on. We work on your profile. We recreate it, or we start from scratch. In week 2, this is where we identify who your ideal clients are, and the markers. And when I say markers, guys, I mean that there are certain traits, there are certain solutions that they're looking for that really identify them. So we identify all of them. It's a very in-depth process that we use for the ideal clients. Week 3, we do system creation for your funnels. So we actually create a system for your funnels that we're going to utilize in LinkedIn in week 3. In week 4, it's a system creation for LinkedIn and then lead generation automation. So what I said at the beginning, or not quite at the beginning, but at the beginning of introducing this, is that I like to automate the in-between. So I don't feel like you have to do everything organic. There are certain aspects of social media that you can automate, and it makes it much easier if you can automate some of these parts so that you're not scrambling all the time, so that you can effectively scale. So one of the biggest pain points, and you guys can see it with the testimonials, is that, Danielle, there's too many people coming in all at once. Yes, imagine if you're doing that or in an organic manner where nothing was automated and you still had all that to catch up to. So this actually will automate the in-between without taking away the humanness, without taking away the organic marketing piece, because that's important too. The genuine piece is essential in really building up that no trust factor. So we do systems, we do automate, we automate the in-between, and then week 5 is the content creation for LinkedIn. So here's where we create the content for the automation, but we also dig into what other ways can you create content on LinkedIn that doesn't need to be automated, that is still going to be enticing. So this is where my copywriting skills really come in handy, and this is where I get pinged a lot for support is can you help me create this content? And I understand, and some people are great writers. This can be the easy part for some people, and it can be the really hard piece for a lot of others who just are not, they just don't like to do content. They don't know what to say. And this in week 5 is a big piece of what makes you successful, is having that content and having it sound like you and having it be conversational. So we do that, and then we automate some of these pieces, and then we create other content material and assets so that you can further nurture. So that's what we go into in week 5. Week 6 is metrics and automation setup. So I don't do anything unless I got metrics to back up what I'm doing. I like numbers. I like to understand. And the reason why analytics and metrics are so important, guys, and this is because it will tell you. It'll tell you exactly what it is that your clients are doing and their behaviors in some ways, right? So we can understand that, man, everyone that goes to a freebie lead magnet page, like my client, like the case study, 36% of them are going to sign up. So if I send this much traffic, if I send 1,000 people to this opt-in page for this lead magnet, then 360 of them are going to sign up. And then we can take it the next steps. Like if 360 of them sign up, how many for the lead magnet, how many of them are going to jump on a sales call? So then it becomes predictable outcomes. Then you don't have to second guess how you're going to get your next client, how you're going to fill your program. You have the metrics and the analytics in place. You're testing and tweaking so that you can have more predictable outcomes when it comes to your online marketing. So week 6, we do this. I will say I love doing this part, and we automate the metrics. It doesn't have to be something where you have to go digging into numbers. This is something that is really easy. We make it simple for you. So week 7, content creation for LinkedIn. Content creation for LinkedIn, lead generation follow-up. So the content that we create is the lead generation follow-up. So it's the follow-up content. It's not the introductory one. It's not the wow one. So when we're first introducing people or re-engaging people, it's a different type of content than it is when we're following up with them. And there's a lot of ways to bring in your personality with a follow-up and engage them further. So that we do in week 7. Week 8, we utilize LinkedIn traffic for marketing and launching. So this is where we really utilize that traffic so that you guys can launch your products and you can fill your program. So I don't leave you hanging. There's so much that goes into a launch. I'm simplifying it and how you can utilize LinkedIn and have it be powerful. So without the paid advertisement, guys, like Facebook has, you know, a lot of people do their launches and they have paid advertisement. This is not paid. This is not paid ads on LinkedIn. So we utilize a different methodology. So leads on autopilot, consistent sales calls, massive conversions. And we know our conversions because we're doing the metrics on them. But this is how online works. This is how you guys move forward. This is how you scale. Is that you automate the in-between, you get the consistent calls, and then you have the conversions and you tweak the conversions. You tweak everything so that it works beautifully for you. So, and I get it, you know, old habits die hard. Lead generation, LinkedIn, all of this is hard, isn't it? But it's not. And this program is, the total value of this is almost $9,000, guys. And we're still in pilot, so don't lose your breath right yet. And it's really great for seasoned business owners. It's good for brand new business owners. I've taken people who are just starting out and they've scaled amazingly in 6 months. And then coaches, consultant, authors, speakers. And then I have a week 9 one, which is how to utilize. Oh, it looks like my connection's unstable. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me okay? Is it coming in? Okay, good. So week 9, how to utilize LinkedIn to fill your events. Like legit, guys. And it doesn't even have to be a live event. It could be a live stream event. It could be a summit. It could be a giveaway. It could be that you want to just do what I'm doing right now. You want to do a master class. You want to do a training. You want to fill it. This went way past what I thought that we were going to be able to have for capacity. I'm going to show you guys what I use. And that's a bonus. That's week 9. So you guys are going to understand that. And isn't that great? So we're going to add that in. So it's almost 10,000 in value right now. Again, don't lose your breath, guys. These are just value numbers. This isn't the number of the pilot program. So total, that's 10K so far, what I'm throwing in. And then I want to throw in a week 10 for you, a bonus week 10, which is building out your LinkedIn to up your influence. So there's no mistakes on LinkedIn. It is a fantastic tool to increase your following, to take things more viral, to get interviews. So I really dig into how to step out as an influencer and an expert and get known and seen as that on LinkedIn. It's a fantastic training. It's your bonus week 10 one, and that one goes for $797. So all of this, we're at almost 11 K, so 11,000. So the program's almost 9, the bonus is 1,000, then the bonus number 2 is around 800. So yeah, I'm rounding. So if you just did this program and it gave you enough money to make another car payment, would it be worth it? Make a house payment, would it be worth it? You got 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients. If you made an extra 5K, would it be worth it? How about 10,000? Wouldn't that be fantastic? These testimonials, I mean, these guys are making tens of thousands of dollars in a very short amount of time. And what's your freedom worth to you? That's the other thing, is that if you have systems in place and you just work with the system and you tweak the system, then it creates a lot of freedom. And cash flow creates a lot of freedom. So an extra 10K a month, 25K a month, 100K with a question mark in it. That's a great typo. I love that one. Yes. How much would that pay? How much would you pay to get that? The ultimate freedom to have consistent cash flow. And also, guys, like, I really want to hone this in, is that predictable outcomes. Predictable outcomes with your marketing plans online. Like, that's something that I've been so passionate about figuring out, is like, I don't want to have the up and down in my own business. So I'm not going to. Then how do I teach other people? Because I know that's a massive pain point, is the roller coaster rides. And man, have we gone through some roller coaster rides the last couple months. It has been something. It's been something. And it doesn't have to be that way when you understand your metrics, when you understand how to tweak everything. So that freedom, that peace of mind is great. And this guy says it best, Chris Rock. Wealth is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of options. It's that whole putting your eggs in one basket, guys. You don't want to have just one social platform and use that and only use that. You want to have multiple ones, especially with where online marketing, digital marketing is going. You've got to be on multiple platforms, and you got to be good. You got to be good at these platforms. You got to understand them. You got to understand why your clients come to them and what solutions they're looking for. So a lot of options, So again, you get the LinkedIn lead system, limitless LinkedIn lead system. Bonus number 1, which is week 9, and how to utilize LinkedIn to fill events. And this isn't just live events, it's online events. It is even master classes like this. LinkedIn is fantastic for it. Bonus number 2 is week 10, building out your LinkedIn to up your influence. So I'm going to show you guys how to stand out as an expert and an influencer on LinkedIn. So you can see why it's worth well over 10,000. And what this is going to go for after pilot is 5K. So to the normal public, this program, it's a 10-week program with the bonuses, is going to go for 5K. And you guys are in my community. So you guys get access to the pilot program first, right? I didn't even put it out there. I haven't put this out to anybody who isn't in my community. And then this is what it is today, guys. It's actually 1/10 of what the value is. Probably even more, even less than that. So it's $997 today if you guys want to know the price point, or you can do 3 payments of $357 for the 8 weeks plus the 2 weeks of bonus. That's what it is. And you've got to apply. So it's not for everyone. And I mean that. If I don't think that I can help you guys on LinkedIn, then I really won't bring you in on this program. This is for people that I really believe that I can help. So you have to apply for it. So I hope that helps. Let me see if I can. Let me just go ahead and put that on there. And here's the application link right in the chat, guys. Oh, I don't think it's for the, hold on. Everyone, there we go. So everyone publicly, let me go ahead and put it in here. If I can, I'm struggling with the chat right now. Hold on. But you guys can go ahead and apply and see if it works. There we go. I can see why I didn't. There you go. So that's the application, and then the strategy session. You guys can go ahead and apply if this is a good fit for you. I highly recommend it. This is the pilot program of this. And if you guys want an extra 15 minutes with me, I'm happy to answer questions. I know I went way over on time. My apologies. I thought I timed this out better. But you guys can grab an extra 15 minutes on my calendar. So there's the link for the strategy session with DFC, which is me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you took a ton of notes. This is for you guys. It absolutely is possible to build out in the online space, no matter where you are in your business. You can scale beautifully on LinkedIn, utilizing this and other platforms. Those launches that you have, maybe you had to postpone. Maybe you had to postpone it because of everything that's going on. You absolutely can film. So if you want some support in that, that's the application process for the pilot program. And also, if you guys want just 15 minutes with me, I've got some spots on my calendar. I will say that we filled this, we overfilled this, so I will probably have to stop after the first 20 signups for the 15-minute calls. So if you want one, you better jump on it fast because my spots will fill very quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Um, Let me see if we have absolutely purchase your program. Okay, awesome. Yes, Mary, let me know. Let me know how I can support you. And if you guys are the replay, if I can, guys, I'll have my team get it out to you guys tonight. And you can watch the replay, which you can pause and take notes, which I know is really great. If you can pause and take the notes and really dig into the material more. So thank you guys so much. I enjoyed all of you. I'm so glad you guys came from multiple areas of the United States and from overseas. That's always a nice treat. I love seeing people from the UK and Australia and Canada. I like that international piece. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, afternoon, and then for some of you guys, the morning. I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning. And yeah, we'll talk soon. And grab the spots on the calendar and in the pilot program if you want that. Okay. Bye for now, you guys.